Welcome to Insight Marketing Success, the podcast where marketing knowledge meets real-world experience, from vision to execution.
Mark Ainley today from GC Realty. Mark, let's start with the first question. Who are you?
All right. So I am a 44-year-old white male from Chicago. No, I'm joking. I'm an entrepreneur in Chicago where our core focus is property management firm where we manage about 1,400 scattered site units around the Chicago market and about 1 million square feet of commercial. And also a co-host of Chicago's #1 real estate investing podcast, Straight Up Chicago Investor, but then also an investor myself. So I've done over 500 flips, and we have industrial buildings we hold long-term, and I'm buying, call it Class A residential single-family home on the side myself now as well too.
Well, wonderful. I see your title being a partner in GC, but what's your education? Where do you go to school?
And so coming out of high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to a 4-year university, but when I was going to the local community college, it was very discouraging that they were, I wasn't sure what was going to transfer where or what was going to transfer what. Didn't do that great my first year of community college. Ended up transferring to DeVry and got a DeVry University and ended up getting a degree in telecommunications. But I knew about 2/3 of the way through that I'm like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to, the degree I was going for would be more back office, TCOM, closet type space. Where it's like, I like people too much. Like I got to be out there. I got to. So ultimately, I finished school just for sake of my family and because I was paying for it. I want to get my value out of it. I want to get that degree, that very expensive piece of paper. And then I ended up really along the way in that journey, I was just really learning about real estate, studying real estate, reading about it. Real estate attracted me originally for different reasons. It was more because money, but it's turned into a passion for plenty of different other reasons, more to help other people.
Awesome. So in the process of learning your real estate and getting your company, what's the biggest marketing accomplishment you have faced and how did you solve it? Or marketing challenge, and how did you solve it?
Well, I think there's a few things we faced. When we talk specifically about property management in our firm today, a lot of people don't understand or know the industry is very young, right? Up until about 15 years ago, if you're in property management, it's because you're a reject realtor. You couldn't sell houses, so you want to manage properties. That was kind of it hasn't really became a business till recently. Educating, getting into the business, educating people on property management being an option for investors, that was big. But then getting that message out there, and it was hard to go direct with that message, just trying to tell people, hey, this exists, you don't realize it. And ultimately in 2020, we started a podcast called Straight Up Chicago Investor. And that started off as one thing and turned into something different. And the challenge that we overcame there was being able to build a huge community of just local, hyper-local niche real estate investors that now were all the right people I wanted to talk to about property management, or I wanted them to be cheerleaders for me about property management.
And has that been successful?
It has. We just celebrated 5 years, and we're on episode 300, and I think 85 comes out this week. And but like I said, the thing that came out of it that I didn't see coming was, well, one, it was originally an expense item on our P&L for marketing for the property management, and it turned into pretty quickly an opportunity to we had just local sponsors. We help other very affordably help other service industry or in real estate here in Chicago. We're their niche clients are our listeners, so we're able to actually make it in the black on that side of things. But two, the community we built around it. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and we had a party. 170 people, and they paid to be there. It's not like I gave a bunch of free food and they showed up. Like they paid. I think the ticket was $50. They came out and they wanted to be part of that network. They're part of the community. They want to meet people. So what we built as far as the community goes was something that I'd never appreciated the value of community until probably about 2 years ago.
But so that was a learning experience. It worked out for you beautifully. It was an evolution of the marketing. All right. The podcast has been successful. Are you excited about AI? How is AI are you using right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to use AI any way we can in the sense of, we're going to talk specifically about marketing. We've messed around with some voice dialers and all that set up, but a lot of our content creation using stuff like Hemingway, which is an app that helps kind of help rewrite some of your ideas. We're using an app called Content Square, which kind of helps us understand the journey of the customer once they land on your website and how they're going to go through. There's a lot of those little tools. And the property manager side, we're using it a lot as well too around email sentiment, understanding what our clients are saying within emails without having to read every single email. We're a work order approval. So we're really messing around with a lot of it in a lot of different corners of the company. And it's not even, this is like the internet. It's like the internet coming out again. It's just huge. Like,
It's evolving.
yeah, and it keeps evolving. Yeah. So, the rate of the involvement is huge. And if anything, the rate of startups or new ideas or the way to tie something in keeps changing with it. So it only makes it easier and easier to apply it, insert it, connect it into the business somehow.
So with your podcast, you position yourself as as a leader in your industry of property management, which is great. And now you have 5 years. And then you're using AI to customize the message to be very pointed. And you said you're advertising in your podcast to niche services that help the property managers, I assume.
Yeah, so we're advertising. The people that come on our show are advertising. It might be we have a couple of commercial lenders, we have a couple of we have a home inspector, we have insurance agents. So those guys, we have our audience, our listener base of real estate investors are their like number one kind of their client avatar. So it works out great for that in that sense.
Perfect. How do you balance brand building efforts with the need to drive short-term results?
Yeah, that's the forever challenge, right? It's whenever something in marketing doesn't work out, you call it branding, right? Whenever you can't judge the results of something, you're like, oh, it's good branding. I think we look at our marketing into three different buckets. The first bucket is SEO, so anything that we're putting out there on our website to be able to draw people back to our website. We look at the messaging around getting people in our internal, in the last, we've been around 23 years. So really, since we were in tracking all this in the last 15 years, we have 6,000 people or so that have raised their hand at some point or inquired or downloaded something on our website. So trying to get those people back to the table with that type of messaging. And then our third bucket is what we call spray and pray. Like, how do we get as much information out there to try to reach as many people and maybe have them say, hey, I like that, and then come closer and be part of that other bucket. But so whenever we could create content or some sort of marketing piece or redo a page, and it falls into all three, if we're able to do one thing and it falls into all three buckets, that's super valuable for us. But we end up doing activities that only, we have articles that are specifically maybe towards the SEO side of things that aren't that fun to put out on a blog or an email drip or whatever, but just more there for content. And no different than the spray and pray. It's like, we might just celebrate a funny moment that necessarily won't help with our SEO. So,
Right. Okay. What role does customer feedback or data play in shaping up your marketing strategies?
Well, I'd be a horrible marketing manager if I said anything less than everything. But the data is I mean, it's your feedback loop. If I post something today or I sent something out last Friday, it's like that's where you use AI or you use the different tools that show you like, did it work or not? Did it touch the amount of people? Are people interested in what you're even saying? Did your hook point land, or did you have to spend more time on that hook point if you're going to redevelop that piece? Like, it's everything because it's too easy. And I'll admit that I've spent a lot earlier in my career just putting stuff out there that I thought was cool. And it was genuine, right? But it wasn't anything that raised anyone's eyebrows and said, hey, I think I want to work with them. Maybe you could call it branding or whatever, and who our company personality is. But at the end of the day, because I wasn't looking at the how many people were clicking on it or how many people were landing on it or how many people were reading it in a month, it just ended up just being stuff on the site.
How do you approach the storytelling in your brand communications?
We we enjoy the storytelling piece because we have a lot of stories to tell, right? Think about this. We manage all those units for all those hundreds of clients, and there's always something messed up going on. Not because we did it, but there's always a couple weeks ago, a car went through a front of a house totally set halfway in the living room. Like we have different investors that come to us with different stories. We have people from the podcast call us up and tell us like, I'm in this real messed up situation. How do I get out of it? So sharing those stories, and if anything, the storytelling approach for us is putting it out there. We're like, hey, this is you. Maybe you resonate because it's happened to you, or maybe this is one of the reasons that you're fearful could happen to you, and then kind of sharing what it took to get through that. So not only being prepared, but then once it happened, understanding what to do when it happened. And for us as property manager, those are the stories that make someone say, I don't want to go out that alone. Like maybe I do hire someone and they'll if a car runs through my front, they could at least be there. It's worth me paying a whole year management fees for 1 or 2 tragedies a year. And I always tell people that for us, you pay a monthly management fee to hire us as a manager, but 9 out of 10 months, 9 out of 10 months, or called 10 out of 12 months of the year, that fee will just be a fee and not much will happen. We'll do a little admin stuff. But then in a couple months a year, or even a couple months or a couple times in a couple of years, that's where we'll earn our money. That's where we'll have a bunch of crazy stuff happen, or the city comes down on something. So stories it definitely relate to the experiences that real estate investors could go through, or we hear going through.
And the experience that you have gained from all the different cases that can save thousands of dollars to those.
$1,000 mistakes. That's what I always say I've made. So that's where my stories come from.
All right. So what metrics matter the most when you are evaluating success of a marketing initiative?
So I think we measure it in 4 different ways. One, it's how many people actually clicked on the initial if it was an email that went out, if it was a MailChimp, if it was some sort of blast, how many people actually opened it? Then how many people opened it more than 25%? Then it ends up being how many people did a click through to our website, and then how many people actually did anything once they clicked through to our website. So that's really the 4 things that we're always looking at. And it's messed up, including myself included, and so many other people. They get wrapped up in the bottom of the funnel when it comes to those things. Like how many people click through on the website? It's like, all right, how about you worry about how many people actually opened your email? And those are the conversations that we had to take some hard looks in the mirror of like, what are we really focusing on here? Like we're focusing on the wrong side of this funnel here.
Yeah. At the end of the day, is how many people send you a check and acquire your services, right?
Yep.
So what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling in the marketplace to differentiate in a crowded market?
I think one of the best superpowers any company has is their own personality. It's really easy for us to go online and look at what other people do and try cloning what they do. And a level of that you're always going to do, but at the end of the day, no one could ever copy your personality. No one else ever going to have the personality that's going to come out in your videos or in your content or in your quick little shorts or whatever. And that personality is what will people say, oh, I like them. I like that company. I like what that company stands for, and gravitate towards them. Or I don't like that company, or I don't like what that guy said. I don't like what that guy's wearing. Whatever it might be, it will actually push them away. So where I think a lot of people make mistakes is they steal everything. I use the word loosely steal. They copy everything from someone that's doing it right, versus really using their own superpower, which is their personality, their brand, their genuality.
Yes, I call that being authentic, and I couldn't agree more.
Yep, that's right. That's the perfect word for it. Being authentic and being yourself. And that's what scares so many people from, it's funny. I've been saying since like 2016, 17, that we got a couple more years before everyone jumps on video where it's no longer a competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. Being on video or taking a podcast like this, chopping up, but whatever it might be, still is a huge competitive advantage because so many people are still so scared to get out there. But a lot of people, to what we're just talking about, they're thinking they have to be like the next person. They're thinking they have to be Alex Hermosi. They're thinking they have to be some other influencer, when it's like, no, just be yourself, be authentic. And that's what's gonna ultimately be the only thing that works for you.
All right. So if you could go back in time with the knowledge that you have today, a wise man, and you could talk to yourself when you started your first job, what advice would you give yourself?
The rate of how you make decisions affects how fast you get things done. There's a lot of, all the time we hear people like, I'm going to get into real estate. It's like, all right. So from the time you decide you're going to get into real estate to the time you actually write your first offer, that's a big, sometimes years for people. So that's just an example. But for me in my career, it would have been just doing everything faster. Whether it been making my first hire faster, giving my, making, focusing faster, closing some of the other businesses that weren't, I think when we all get in business, we think we want these streams of income. So you try opening 4 or 5 different businesses at one time and none of them do good. But being focused on something faster. So everything was just kind of doing it faster to be able to shorten the timeline. I often think about, and you see TV shows like this about now, is like, if you lost everything today, but you still had what you knew, like how long would it take you to get back to where you're at today? It's like,
it would go much faster. So
So
yeah.
Yep. So that's huge. And the whole skills thing as well too, like investing in skills. It's so funny how most of the reason anyone, including myself, can't get something done is I just don't have the right skills to get it done. And it's either the skill of being able to figure out the who should come in and do it for you, or the skill of or learning the skill yourself and being able to kind of push through that ceiling that whatever business or part of your department is stuck at right now.
Awesome. All right. And last here, what advice would you give to a new marketing professional starting a new career? So somebody who just graduated, what advice would you give them? They are going to start in marketing.
I think something that I've learned in the last couple of years is it doesn't matter how much you put out there. It matters how much people engage with you. We talked about those metrics that we track, and that's the other big one when it comes to social media. It's like, if you're not doing enough to get people to engage, you're not putting the right content out to get people engaged. You don't have at least your core group of cheerleaders out there to help engage and kind of push traffic. The posts are kind of worthless because they kind of just get buried in the other millions of posts that get posted every day. So engagement is everything, because that's ultimately what gets people talking and maybe interested in what you're doing.
Awesome. Mark, thank you very much for being part of IMS today. I think it's very interesting, your career and what you have accomplished. So I think our public will enjoy this.
Thank you, Ricardo. I appreciate having me on here and saying nice things about me. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to Insight Marketing Success, where marketing knowledge meets real-world experience from vision to execution.